to Birchfield's Backyard. This video today, I'm going to teach you how to do your own raised bed garden. Very simple, very easy. I have had, like I've said in the past, I've done gardening for 10 years. This past year, I really kind of changed the way I did a few things, and I learned some lessons, but it is very easy. Believe it or not, about 5 months ago, my garden went from this to this. Okay, the first thing you want to do is pick a spot, and that is very important. You need to have a spot in your yard that it has at least 6+ hours of daylight. The spot I chose has, and I live in Texas, so it can get up to, during the summertime, 110, 115 degrees. So I have sunlight, bright sunlight all through the day until about 5, 6 o'clock at night during the summer, where it starts to be shaded, which is great because that's typically very hot during the months of July and August. So first of all, you're going to pick a spot that you want to do your gardening at. The second thing you want to do is decide how much and what kind of foods you want to grow. That will determine essentially how big you want your box is, going to determine the space that you need. You also want to consider when you are growing things like grows together, meaning cantaloupe, watermelon, and things like cucumbers can all grow in the same area because they all vine together. Your berries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries can grow all together. It might do you well to research the area that you live in and see what grows well, because I have made the mistake here in Texas, and I've planted things like lemon trees, and it's not going to do well when it's 125 degrees outside. So I really try to think about the environment that my plants are going to be growing in. So now that you have your space and you have chosen what you want to grow, then you're going to want to look at making your raised bed garden. So typically we use non-treated wood. I do not like to use any wood that's treated because I don't want those chemicals to accidentally, or I don't want those chemicals to get into my garden. I really try to do everything very holistically, very organically. I don't use fertilizers. I don't use anything like that in my garden. So you can go to your local hardwood store, Home Depot or Lowe's, and get 2x4s, 2x6s. I think they're like 2x8s, 2x12s. They can come which is how I made my garden. They can come in different sizes. And then you just kind of want to, measure it out. A lot of the places will actually cut the wood for you. So if you go to Lowe's and you want your garden to be 2x9, all right, an odd number, and they sell them in 2x12s, you can have them cut it down to 9 feet for you, which will help you out. And honestly, there's a lot of really good videos on YouTube that can teach you very specifically how to build your own raised bed garden. Other options that you have are getting pre-made ones. There's a lot of different pre-made ones out there. You don't have to really think about it. You can just use the pre-made ones if you want to. For cost effectiveness, I don't want to do that, but there are some really cute designs, like on Amazon I've seen for some of those pre-made ones. So if you don't want to have to guesswork, or you just don't want to have to build it, they're pre-made kits, and it's very easy to do. Okay, so now you have say you are done. You've built your boxes, you've picked your area, you know what kind of plants you're going to do. Now we're going to talk dirt. So over the years, I have learned some lessons when it comes to dirt. 10 years ago, when I decided to make my own garden, I invested in the wood, and I made all these beds, all these raised bed gardens. And then it was time to fill them with dirt. So, being a newbie, I went to my local Home Depot or Lowe's and got bags of dirt, which I assume most people would do being your first time. I probably invested $300 to $400, which is kind of counterintuitive considering I was trying to grow my own food to essentially save money, but it was such a large investment. I remember being frustrated, but I didn't know anything at the time. So I went ahead and I filled them with the dirt that I got from Home Depot or Lowe's. That year was not a very good year. We can talk a little bit about why I feel like it wasn't a good year. It was new dirt. And new dirt is very hard to grow. If you don't get the right kind of dirt, it's very hard to grow plants in. It doesn't have things like worms and ladybugs and things that are honestly essential to growing a really good garden. Okay, so what I did learn is that there are places, especially here in Texas, that carry truckloads of mulch and dirt and gravel and rocks. Those places are called landscaping supply places. And so there you're able to get 1 to 2 cubic yards, which 2 cubic yards is an entire truckload of dirt, which would cover pretty much any garden you're doing, pretty much any garden. And for an entire truckload of dirt, a cubic yard is $35 to $45. So an entire truckload, you're looking at between 70 to 100 on the very high end. But not only can you get dirt, you can choose your dirt. So I learned that you can buy compost. You can mix your dirt and your compost, which once you have compost in your garden, your plants will grow extremely well. So that is just a little tip. You can go, if you do not have these places near you, you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot for dirt. If you have any questions on what kind of dirt to buy, you can always leave me a comment and I can give you some information. But my advice, if you are going to buy any kind of dirt, mix it with compost because that will get your best fruits and vegetables in the end. Okay, I'm going to step back for a minute because I did miss a step. But a major step is after you build your boxes and once you put them on the ground, you want to make sure they're relatively level. If they're not perfectly level, that's okay. But what you want to put before you put your dirt on is some sort of weed barrier. Because weeds will become the very bane of your existence if you don't do something. And because I don't do any chemical treating, I have to pull them, and it can be exhausting. So I would say you can do any weed barriers like some of the ones you can buy at Lowe's and Home Depot. They just have those plain black ones you can put over. You can do newspaper. I've seen that. I think straw or hay you can do too. Well, you want to do that before you put your soil down. There definitely needs to be some kind of weed barrier. And again, you can research and see what you feel like would work best for you and what you want to accomplish. Now that you have done all of those steps, you are basically ready to plant. Remember, plant things that grow together, and you never really want to plant something by itself. It always likes to have a brother or sister because they work well together. I don't know why that is. I'm sure there's some scientific research behind that. It works well for me. When you are planting, being mindful of when you're planting. So if it says on the back of the packages and the seeds to only plant cucumbers during certain months, only plant cucumbers during certain months, because if it gets too cold and it freezes, they're not going to grow, and you're going to wonder why 2 weeks later I still have no plants. So now that I told you how to do raised bed with fresh soil, I'm going to add onto here that that's not actually what I have done with my garden recently. Another option, and you can do this depending on your soil, is instead of, and also depending on how big, because I wanted to make mine so big, and I know I've got 10 years of amazing soil, I decided to till up my soil, which cost about $60 because I had to rent the equipment from Home Depot. I tilled up my entire section because the dirt, honestly, is really, really, really good at dirt and compost. They were like 10 years, and so I just tilled up that entire area, and then I made my boxes over the dirt. I did not actually bring in new dirt, although in the past I have brought in truckloads of dirt before, and that has worked just as well. It's on. I've literally stopped this video so many times. I'm hoping my kids can edit it correctly. So here are the steps, just to recap. Step number 1, find a space with a lot of sunshine. Step number 2, you want to decide what you want to grow and how much you want to grow. Step number 3, build your boxes or get some of the pre-made ones. Step number 4, a weed barrier. Step number 5 is put in your dirt. And then number 6 is plant your plants. And I guess I should say number 7 is water the babies in the beginning. They need a lot of love and care. So thanks again for watching. This is Birchfield's Backyard. And if you have any questions, please feel free to comment or leave me a message. But I hope you like and subscribe to my channel. I will continuously try to post videos on gardening.